Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a matter of intense pride and honor for me to be standing here at the dais of Oxford University and to be addressing intellects from around 30 countries. I indeed feel delighted. And I've been sitting here since morning and listening to visionary leaders and people from diverse cultures, lands, and talking so beautifully about what they are experienced at, what their expertise at, and I'm really enlightened today. Namaskar, namaste from India, the land of cultural diversity. I'm standing here on behalf of Gyanjyoti College of Education, Rajol. And before I start, I would like to briefly introduce myself about my achievements and what I'm going to be talking here about today. I'm an active academician, a social worker, and an author. Uh, just to brief it up, I've been into the teaching profession since last more than 20 years, and it's something different because I've been teaching students right from kindergarten, then high school, secondary school, to the college, and now currently I'm preparing the teachers who are going to go out to different colleges and then teach back. So I'm currently dealing with the pupil teachers in India. And I have a very wide experience. I've published more than 17 research papers. I'm currently pursuing my education PhD. A very vibrant learner, and I keep on organizing workshops. And a very active social worker also. I've been dealing with lots of NGOs back in India, like Jagori, and working for the upliftment of girl, child, and domestic safety of the women. And primarily, I'm into the safeguard of the interests of inclusive education about the children with ID. I'm a very active. I'm a member of National Paralympics back in India, and I'm associated with many charitable trusts and work for exclusively for inclusive education in India. I've authored 7 books here. And today, what I'm going to talk about is a gist of all that I've written, and primarily dealing how to deal with children from all age groups, right from kindergarten till the teachers who teach. So, to understand that, it's very imperative you understand the psychology of the child, and that's what my main subject is. I start my words with the speech of Swami Vivekananda, who once said, by education, I mean an all round development of a child, of body, mind, and soul. And that's what I'm here about. I'm going to talk about compassion, inclusivity, and community engagement, and how to deal with that, how to bring that into global education and classrooms. So, global education connects us across borders, cultures, and economies. It fosters understanding, tolerance, and collaboration, preparing students to thrive in diverse, interconnected world. Understanding child psychology is a crucial aspect for teachers. It helps them talk about their teaching methods to meet the unique needs of their students. Let's break it down. The concept of child psychology was successfully put forward by 3 psychologists, that is, the Piaget, Jean Piaget, who came up with the theory of child psychology in 1965. And he recognizes 4 stages of child's mental development, and how to, if you deal with these 4 stages of a child through his childhood periods, and exclusively with compassion and empathy, which is the basic human trait. The 4 stages were sensory motor stage, pre-operational stage, concrete operational stage, and the formal operational stage. If the child goes through these 4 stages successfully, and which is primarily the job of a teacher, so he's a he's a well balanced individual, and it affects his lifelong learning. The theory of Piaget was further seconded by Jerome K. Bruner, who said that scaffolding and active learning, they play a very important aspect in the child's learning. And this theory was further seconded by Skinner's theory, who came up with the theory of operant conditioning theory. So I'm mentioning all these theories because they're very important when we deal with the child. If you get an insight into these theories, you will understand how beautifully they have detailed, about how to nurture a child's mind, because every child is like a blooming bud. If you give it proper care, it's going to come out like a very nice blooming flower. So that's how we need to deal with the people, with the children, especially. And communication is again a very important part of teaching, not to skip. Communication especially deals with the backbone of education, and it enables students to convey ideas, express thoughts, and connect with other students. Communication can be divided into verbal communication, which can be oral or written, and then nonverbal, which is through your body language or facial expressions, and then visual communication, which comes through images and pictures. The process of communication is very simple. You have a sender who encodes a message, and then message goes to the receiver who takes the feedback, and then he corresponds that. So it's like a circle. The role of communication in education, it facilitates knowledge and sharing and understanding. It encourages active participation and engagement. It develops critical thinking and the problem-solving skill. It fosters collaboration and teamwork and builds teacher-student relationships and trust. It enhances students' motivation and the confidence. Evaluation further is how, after you have developed the cognitive, and psychomotor abilities of a child, how do you evaluate that? Evaluation is a very it's a very important process of educating a child. It plays a pivotal role in education system, serving as a crucial component that assesses students' learning, informs instructions, and drives improvement. The three primary types of evaluations being the formative, and the summative evaluation. Diagnostic evaluation, it identifies students' strengths and weaknesses at the beginning of the course or a unit and informs about the instructions which are going to be given to the students before you start a course. Formative evaluation, it goes through the learning period of a child, and summative evaluation is the concluding evaluation when you have taught something to a child and then you assess how the ways to be dealing with that. So these evaluation procedures, they provide feedback for improvement. They inform instructions and guide the teacher for planning. They motivate students to learn, evaluate students' progress and achievement, and foster a culture and continuous improvement. By averaging these evaluations, education can refine instructions, address student needs, and ultimately enhance the learning outcomes. A balanced approach incorporating all these three things above is necessary for a comprehensive education. I mark my words. I close my address today by the words of Robert Frost. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. It's a dream come true for me today. Thank you, everyone, for listening to me so patiently.